To truly know yourself, you must first embrace the power of silence. Because in the chaos of life, in the endless noise of opinions, advice, social media, and expectations, your inner voice gets drowned out. And this inner voice is your most honest teacher. It is the compass that points to who you are beneath the masks you wear, beneath the roles you play, beneath the smiles you offer to the world to make them comfortable while you suffer in silence. Learning to sit with yourself in quiet is not laziness, it is courage, it is discipline. It is the practice of paying attention to the whispers of your heart and the tremors of your mind. Because these small signals contain enormous truths. They tell you what excites you, what drains you, what hurts you, and what heals you. And this is something nobody can teach you. You cannot read it in books. You cannot find it in certificates. It is only discovered when you pause, when you breathe, when you allow yourself to be present without judgment, without distraction, without trying to escape or fix anything. And the world will try to convince you that silence is wasted time, that busy is better, that being productive is success. But the truth is the opposite. Silence is a sacred mirror. It reflects your essence, your fears, your desires, your values. And when you confront yourself here, when you dare to face the raw, unfiltered you begin to understand why you react, why you hold back, why you overextend, why you compromise. And suddenly, the chaos of life makes sense, because you are not being led by impulse or habit. You are being guided by understanding. And this understanding becomes power, it becomes clarity, it becomes freedom. It allows you to live intentionally, to speak honestly, to choose wisely, and to grow without losing yourself in the noise. Because every moment of silence you gift yourself is a step closer to the person you were meant to be. Pain is not your enemy. It is your most powerful teacher. And most people spend their lives running from it, hiding from it, pretending it doesn't exist. But the truth is, pain is the universe's way of giving you a lesson you cannot ignore. It tells you where you have limits, where you have been blind, where you have tolerated what you should not. And when you stop fighting it and start observing it, you begin to see patterns in your life. Patterns that reveal who you really are. Your fears, your strengths, your hidden courage, your unhealed wounds. Because every tear you have shed, every heartbreak, every failure, every moment of betrayal or disappointment carries a message. And the moment you read that message, the moment you understand why it hurt and what it is asking of you, pain becomes a guide instead of a punishment. It becomes a compass pointing you toward growth, toward boundaries, toward self-respect, toward clarity. And the mistake most people make is thinking that pain defines them negatively, that suffering is a sign of weakness. But in reality, the people who embrace their pain, who learn from it, who turn it into insight, are the people who rise stronger, more compassionate, more aware, more alive. Because pain strips away pretense. It removes illusions. It forces honesty. It demands that you confront yourself. And yes, it is uncomfortable. Yes, it is scary. Yes, it can feel unbearable at times. But these are the moments that shape character, that teach resilience, that illuminate the depths of your own spirit. And when you finally accept pain as a teacher rather than an enemy, you stop blaming the world, you stop fearing failure, you stop hiding from discomfort, and you step fully into a life that is intentional, courageous, and profoundly transformative. Your identity is not something handed to you at birth. It is not a label that others can place on you. It is not defined by your family, your culture, or the opinions of society. Your identity is discovered through the choices you make every single day. It is revealed in the decisions you take when no one is watching, in the actions you choose when you are under pressure, in the values you refuse to compromise. And most people spend their lives performing for the approval of others, trying to fit into boxes that were never made for them, chasing dreams that were never theirs, and in the process, they lose sight of who they truly are. But knowing yourself requires that you stop performing, that you stop seeking validation, that you start asking hard questions. Questions like, who am I when I am alone? What do I stand for when no one applauds me? What kind of life am I building for my soul rather than for my image? And when you dare to answer these questions honestly, The clarity that emerges is liberating. It frees you from the chains of expectation and comparison. It allows you to align your actions with your essence. It teaches you that mistakes do not define you, failures are not permanent, and criticism cannot dictate your worth. And this is the work that builds character, that shapes resilience, that cultivates courage, because the more you know yourself, the less you are shaken by the judgments of the world, the more you understand your purpose, the more intentional your life becomes. And this process is not easy. It requires reflection, honesty, patience, and persistence. It requires that you face your fears, acknowledge your shadows, embrace your contradictions, and accept that growth is messy, unpredictable, and sometimes painful, but it is also beautiful, empowering, and transformative. Because when your choices come from a place of true self-awareness, when your actions are guided by your own values rather than borrowed ideals, you begin to live with authenticity, integrity, and a freedom that cannot be taken away by anyone. Self-respect is the foundation of knowing yourself. And without it, all the knowledge in the world cannot anchor you, because how you allow others to treat you is a reflection of how much you value yourself. And far too many people spend their lives shrinking, bending, and sacrificing their boundaries to make others comfortable, thinking that love, acceptance, or success depends on pleasing others. But the truth is, self-respect is not selfish. It is the courage to honor your own worth, the bravery to say no without guilt, to walk away without fear, to stand firm even when it feels lonely. And when you practice this every day, you begin to discover the real you, the part of you that cannot be manipulated, the part of you that is untouchable by judgment, criticism, or rejection. Because when you respect yourself, you no longer seek approval outside. You no longer measure your value with someone else's scale. And this clarity is liberating. It allows you to make decisions from strength rather than desperation, from truth rather than fear, from purpose rather than habit. And self-respect is also the lens through which you recognize the relationships, environments, and opportunities that serve you versus those that drain you. It teaches you that boundaries are not walls, but bridges to healthier connections. That saying yes to yourself is also saying yes to life. And it transforms every interaction into a choice, every challenge into a lesson, every setback into a reflection of your resilience. Because a person who respects themselves does not settle for less than they deserve, does not apologize for existing, does not compromise their principles. And slowly, as you cultivate this respect, you realize that self-knowledge is not about perfection. It is about alignment. T is about standing fully in your truth, embracing your needs, honoring your values, and stepping into a life where your decisions, your actions, and your presence are all rooted in the unshakable understanding of your own worth. Because self-respect is the silent force that guides you to the life you are meant to live. To truly know yourself, you must stop performing for others. Because so much of life is spent wearing masks, pretending to be what we think others want us to be, chasing approval, validation, and recognition. But in doing so, we drift further away from who we actually are. Every smile given out of obligation, every word spoken to please, every choice made to impress slowly erodes your connection with your own soul. And the moment you begin to peel away these layers, to stop bending and shaping yourself for the comfort of others, you start to experience freedom like never before. Freedom to express, to feel, to live authentically. And authenticity is not always easy. It requires courage. Because the world often resists your truth. People may misunderstand, criticize, or distance themselves. But when you stay rooted in yourself, their reactions no longer define your value. Their opinions no longer dictate your direction. And the more you embrace your own path, the more clarity you gain about what truly matters. You begin to notice the difference between connections that uplift and those that drain, opportunities that align and those that distract, choices that reflect your values and those that are simply noise. And this self-guided awareness strengthens your intuition, sharpens your focus, and cultivates resilience. Because living for yourself is not selfish, it is essential. It is the act of honoring the life and potential that exists within you. It allows you to explore passions, express creativity, make mistakes, and learn without fear of judgment. And every moment spent performing for others is energy stolen from your growth, from your dreams, from your understanding of who you are. So stop trying to fit into someone else's expectations. Stop seeking approval that diminishes you, and instead dedicate yourself to the practice of alignment, to the discipline of truth, to the courage of being fully seen. Because only when you stop performing and start living authentically do you truly discover the power, depth, and brilliance of your own being. Knowing yourself means accepting both your light and your scars. Because so often we are taught to hide the parts of ourselves that feel broken, ashamed, or imperfect. But true self-knowledge comes when you look at every part of your being without judgment, when you embrace the wounds that shaped you, the mistakes that humbled you, the fears that tested you, and the dreams that dared you to hope. Because these are not weaknesses. They are evidence of a life fully lived, a life that demanded courage, resilience, and growth. And when you stop trying to erase your scars or polish your image for others, you begin to experience freedom, you begin to feel whole, you begin to understand that every experience, every challenge, every failure is a teacher, every joy, every triumph, every act of love is a reminder of your strength. And the moment you accept yourself fully, light and shadow together, you stop chasing impossible standards, you stop fearing judgment, and you stop hiding behind masks. Because self-acceptance is not resignation. It is power, it is clarity, it is the ability to move forward with authenticity and courage. And this acceptance also teaches compassion, for yourself and for others. Because when you recognize your own scars, you understand that everyone carries invisible battles. Everyone has hidden depths, and everyone deserves grace. And in this space of acceptance, growth becomes natural. Confidence becomes rooted in truth rather than pretense, and life becomes an adventure of exploration rather than a performance. And your choices, your actions, your words, and your presence begin to align with who you really are, unfiltered and unafraid. Because knowing yourself fully is not about perfection or comparison. It is about embracing the totality of your being, celebrating your light, honoring your struggles, learning from your experiences, and stepping into the world as a whole, empowered and deeply authentic human being. And when you live from this place, everything in life becomes richer, more meaningful, and profoundly transformative.